On this edition of the Dimp Digital Podcast, Apps is joined by Logan and Piper as they do a beta breakdown of Rainbow Six and Star Wars Battlefront.
I was just a bit sort of meh.
Yeah.
I think that's the only way to describe it. Yeah, I thought it's all right, but it's not blowing me away with something that I think I'd play all the time.
They also discuss single-player campaigns in multiplayer games.
I know we're changing, but is there an argument that multiplayer-only games perhaps shouldn't be charging full price?
And they round up the headlines from the gaming industry.
Nintendo off the top 100 brands, first time since its inception.
Good, gives them a kick up the arse.
Shame.
All that and much, much more on the Dimp Digital Podcast.
Hello, welcome to the Dimp Digital Podcast. We're on episode number 42, and this time we've got myself, Apps, Logan, and Piper. Gents, how we doing?
Hello.
Hey.
How's it all going then? We all good?
Cool.
Tired.
Yeah.
Piper's had too much wine again.
Yeah, but a cup of tea's sorting it out at the moment.
Is it
Coffee
though?
or nothing.
I've got one question for you two off the bat. Are you still shaving your necks? The pair of you?
Well, we've been through this.
Well, we haven't on the podcast. This is the trouble. People need to know. They noticed on the vlog. They're livid. What's that?
Right. So, I have to at least create a divide. Otherwise, my neck hair just dissolves into my chest hair. And I can't be having that. So, no, because there has to be a break between the neck and the chest.
This is true. He will look like a fan with what's that, those old sort of...
He'll look like Bigfoot.
Otherwise.
Just roaring round.
Honestly, I have to keep this hair under
Bigfoot's
control
better looking.
somehow.
That'd be awful. Well, Piper, you've got no excuse.
Yeah,
You think
I was
it's
just doing it 'cause
trendy?
I thought it looked cool, but I haven't shaved since that point, so I've got the whole beard back. It literally peer pressured into it.
Well, that's exactly what I was looking for, so I'll take that as a small success. Let's crack on with the gaming section of this, and the bullshit section's dealt with, although there'll be plenty of that throughout, no doubt. There's been a couple of betas that have been released in the last couple of weeks or so. I have played one game of one of them and none of the other, so let's start with Rainbow Six Siege, which has come out. How many games did you get to play, Logan, when you played? Was it just literally a couple of games and then you binned it off?
I didn't get an awful lot of time. I thought I was going to be more excited to play it than I was.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. I thought I was... But I put it on last weekend, Saturday morning.
Yeah.
And I was actually I was doing terrorist hunt, so I thought that would do, the terror hunt.
Did you have other people that you didn't know in there with you?
And
so
I just want an honourable mention to this, right? Because this hasn't happened in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
They were talking out the mic, okay, but they were like normal people.
Right, oh yeah, that doesn't happen a lot.
That's debatable.
Right?
That's
No, right? They were normal people.
That is like a unicorn.
Honestly, I was stunned at this. And I think there was it's 6 aside.
Mm-hmm.
So, 6 on your to go around. And so one of them didn't have a mic, but there's 4 guys, and I think there was 2 Americans, another English guy, and an Australian.
Loving life.
All normal people that we were just talking about betas and everything, and just the games, what we thought of it, and it was really, really cool to actually be able to talk to other normal people online without being swore at or somebody chucking a grenade at you or anything. And that was it reminded me why I used to love playing online, because you got normal people. But anyway, honourable mention out of the way.
Yeah.
I played
game shit.
5 and 10.
All right, Jesus.
Or terrorist hunt, yeah. And that I didn't play any online PvP though.
No.
I don't know why. I think I was just quite enjoying the terrorist hunt. But
I think
anyway,
it's the best mode.
My initial thoughts on it was that it was a bit. I'm trying to think the right word. Like it was clanky.
Clunky. Janky.
Yeah, it's just a bit. Yeah, it's just a bit.
Very tight.
Yeah, and it didn't feel very smooth. And actually, this is one of the guys on there pointed out that it wasn't running at full FPS apparently.
Right, because
So it was down a little bit, and he said for the full release it would be, and that's what I mean. They were
well,
normal.
was he part of Ubisoft? Was he trying to sell it to you? Is that
could have been.
that is what I'd ask.
That's another annoying thing is that on the Xbox version, the FPS was down and it wasn't running at 1080p.
No, it never seems to, does it? All the
And it never
third-party
seemed to, but the PS guys did actually have it.
Wow.
I don't know about the FPS, but it was running at 1080p on the PlayStation.
I reckon the FPS will be down, but it'll run at 1080p. Essentially, that's what will happen there.
And I was a bit annoyed at that because I thought nowadays it's sort of a given, especially with how smooth Destiny is, and all the first-person shooters at the moment are absolutely spot on, really. So I was a bit disappointed at that, but the gameplay's solid. The AI is still a bit stupid.
Was you playing it on hard or normal or easy?
No, just on the easiest mode you could. So I think it starts off on normal.
So that is one negative that I can't accept unless you've played it on a hard difficulty. Poor bastards. It's too easy. You've got it on the easiest mode, mate.
I don't know, Logan, if you found this as well, but I just found the menu for it just really clunky and time consuming, like loading into a group and so forth. It just seemed to take longer than it should do. I played a couple of games of Terrorist Hunt, and then I wanted to also try the multiplayer, team versus team. Went in there, and it just stayed in the loading screen trying to find a playable area for like 5 minutes. And I just
mine was
to quit it, and so I never ended up playing the multiplayer because it just either didn't seem to work, or that it was just taking too long for me to find a server to join. Whereas the Terrorist Hunt seemed to be able to jump in relatively easy. It was a little bit slow and clunky, but multiplayer just wasn't playable for me.
Yeah, now you mention it, I think that's why I didn't play it. I completely forgot about that. Yeah, I couldn't get in. I was literally waiting there for ages, and I was like, "What's going on here?" So I went over to Terrorist Hunt, and I pretty much got straight in the lobby. So I was like, "Right, well, I haven't got the time to keep messing around. I'll just play it to get a feel for the game." But the graphics are okay. It's pretty. I didn't find it anything revolutionary. I'll be honest. It didn't feel so. From all the videos I saw and all the gameplay talks, I thought, "Oh, it's going to be really flexible," but it's not really. And
you couldn't breach through like a wall or anything, or
you can. So there is lots of good ideas behind it. There's lots of good breaching, good blockading ideas, and so forth. But it just felt a little bit clunky, as Logan was saying. I just didn't really get a buzz about it.
I was just a bit sort of meh. I think that's the only way to describe it. I thought it's all right, but it's not blowing me away with saying that I think I'd play all the time. I think it's one of them games that I might get eventually if I get bored or something. But I don't think.
And if other people get it,
your backlog loading is ridiculous. That's never happening.
Backlog's been binned,
so I'm starting afresh.
Yeah, starting afresh.
If you've got anything you want to give me, I'll add it.
Unless there's anything specifically you want to play out of my collection.
What's Rise?
Yep.
I'll have that then.
I don't know if you did Halo MCC.
Yeah, I had it, didn't I?
Far Cry 4, you did, didn't you?
Done that, yeah.
Did you do the Advanced Warfare campaign?
No. I could
need to do that.
All right, I'll have a look at that.
Yeah.
Piper, any more thoughts on Rainbow Six before we close? One of my favourite franchises down, which doesn't seem like it's going to live up to what I wanted.
No, I'm not going to get it. So the maps were not big. They were relatively small, which you said infiltrating like a house or something like that.
Well, it doesn't sound very positive for Rainbow Six Siege. So
I just want to quickly say, I don't think I've done it justice. I just think I was expecting something absolutely amazing, and it's a good
the trouble
game.
with all these trailers they release. They make everything look amazing, and it ain't. And you go,
it's not game changing enough. That's the problem, I think.
It's too much stuff out there. It's too similar. Is that what we're saying? But surely this would be a really good team based. Like if 4 or 5 of you all had it, it'd be amazing.
Yeah, but that's
so long against the computer, and then you're a bit inside out.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, let's shut it down. Poor old Rainbow Six Siege looks like it's going to get binned off, but that's what beaters are for. That's what I use them for anyway. Is it any good? No. Bin it. If it's good, keep it. So the big one, and I know we spoke about this 2 weeks ago, but we only literally had 2 games of this at EGX, is Star Wars Battlefront. I've played 1 game of it this week, so again, not really informed, but this isn't really my specialty. Piper, you've had had a go at it last night before you went out and got pissed up. Can you actually remember what you played?
Yeah, I played pretty much most of it. I didn't actually play any of the single campaigns. That's one thing I didn't get around to. But I played the big multiplayer, in the sort of snowy regions.
Walker Assault, yeah.
Walker Assault, that's the word. And I also had a game, or a couple of games of, it's like sort of capture the flag type. Where you're running around trying to sort of capture missiles, then protect them for like 60 seconds, and then move on to the next location.
Headquarters mode, that sounds like, from Call of Duty. Yeah, so I remember that was my favourite because you get loads of points for it.
Yeah, so it would be something similar to that. And they were both like, obviously Walker Assault is just, know why they're keeping that in, because it's spectacular. The snowy regions, you get to play as AT&Ts and Walkers, and you get to fly, you get to turn into... Oh, Christ, I got turned into Luke Skywalker yesterday.
Did you?
And that moment when you turn into Luke Skywalker, the music plays and you just get the lightsaber and you're literally so powerful. You
really?
Just run out. You can play a bit tactically, but I didn't. I just sort of ran at all the
enemies.
Not the rebels. Who's the other?
Empire.
Empire. I just ran at the Empire.
Star Wars.
I just ran at people in the Empire and I was just taking them down. Obviously, you get put down a lot quicker that way, because you do still have a health bar for that player. But you get at least, if you like, why I was doing it that way, you'd get at least 4 or 5 kills from just literally running at people. It's one hit your lightsaber and they're down, and you get to use the Force and you get to pick them up and you can throw them and kill them.
How do you get that perk? Is it something you just pick up on the map, or do you earn it through a set amount of kills? How do you actually become one of these AKA heroes, I think they're calling them?
Yeah, it's done in such a way that people like me who are absolutely crap at first-person shooters, and there's no lie about it. I was always in the bottom 3 or 4 whenever I played last night. And there's
Luke Skywalker the whole match and end up bottom 3.
Basically. But it's just pickups on the map, so
all right.
It looks like that you can pick it up, and when someone's got it, that pickup's disappeared. And then that pickup will respawn at exactly the same point when that person's run out of that, or been died, or
is that the same with the what's they called, the jet fighters? I can't remember what they're called.
Yeah,
so
exactly
it's all picking up tokens, isn't it?
The planes and so forth. I remember at one point I wanted to
destroying the Star Wars lore of planes and jet fighters.
I wanted to play. I played as the
TIE fighters.
I wanted to play as the TIE fighter for the Empire, and someone was flying it around at the point, and I was like, and I knew where it was because someone just beat me to it like about a minute ago. And I was like, fuck, I want to play that. And so I stood there and I waited for him to crash, and then it respawned, and then I jumped in it and got it, and it was pretty epic.
So that hero, or being Luke Skywalker, sounds amazing. Does that go to third person when you change into Luke Skywalker, or is it all first person still?
I was playing the third person for the whole thing.
Oh right, that's interesting.
I'd say the whole thing. The first game I played as first person.
Yeah.
And I'd been reading not reading. That's a lie. I don't do that. Watching some YouTube videos on sort of the ways different people were playing it, and I just thought I'd get more enjoyment out of playing as third person. That's how I've played most of the games I've played.
Sure.
And you get more view around you, because I kept finding people kept coming up behind me and just taking me out, and I was a bit annoyed about that. So I just
more spatial awareness,
and it's just fantastic.
Well, that's a positive review in itself there. Mr. Krogan, you're probably going to be more focused on the details of what Battlefront has to offer, because obviously Piper's not, by his own admission, not a big fan of these kind of competitive shooters. Drilling down into some of these details, how does it stack up against some of the other competitors out there?
Yeah, it's good. It is good.
That's what we need to know. Right, move on.
It's sort of it's more of a back to basics approach. So we know that Call of Duty is sort of everything's heavily customizable, and you've got
you can engrave your gun.
You can engrave it. You've got camos. You can put all sorts of shit on it. You can put an emblem on your guns. So it's personal. Because
I already noticed that when I'm running around.
Well, this is what I mean. I don't understand why they're adding that sort of stuff. But anyway, you sort of get a choice. Well, you start off with one gun, and then you've got up to 4. So you've got 4 guns to choose from. They sort of offer different things. Some are a bit sort of slower.
Yeah.
But I've got better range, etc., etc. So you've got a good choice of upfront guns or something a bit more long range, and it sort of that allows you to customise your play. you can unlock basically a sniper, which you can use one bullet, which takes 90% of your health down.
Cool.
Yeah, so you can really clock
Headshot,
that.
helmets.
I've actually noticed you do get more damage done if you shoot them in the head, despite the fact they've got a helmet. So
wow. More reinforced in it, titanium metal.
Yeah, it's good. You sort of.
Is it though?
The game mechanics are very smooth. So in the same way that Destiny, when you're in first person, it's a very smooth. And you can, when you're aiming at someone, you're going to hit them. I know that sounds stupid, but a lot of the time, and I found this in Rainbow Six as well, despite the fact that your cursor was on the enemy, you don't always get your hit markers.
So hit detection problem in some games.
And it's good on this, so they've got all the hit markers in the correct spot. Yeah, it's so solid. There's
no like aiming down sights, is there, for most of these guns? It's just got a zoom functionality.
Yeah, it's just zoom, yeah.
Well, how do you think about that, Loading? Because aiming down sights has been, around forever. Even Halo's adding it later on this year. Is that a bit of an omission that's getting up your nose a bit? Or are you happy with it just being...
No, I haven't even thought about it. I mean, this sort of replaces the ADS stuff anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm quite happy with that. And I do find that a lot of the combat is over sort of a medium to long range, or it is for me anyway. You tend to, if you're getting up close and personal, you don't have the time to react to do that anyway.
Nah, you just got to hold the button down.
You just got to spam it, yeah. So I think it's worked out quite well, and I like the way that they cater for most things. So as I say, you've got your sort of medium range gun on you. You can sort of capture a point and then find a spot to defend it and get out your sniper and just try and pick someone off from long range with that. And then while that's on a cooldown, you get out your other gun and you start shooting. You've got your thermite charge, which you can set off as a grenade. And it's all round good fun. And one thing I've noticed as well is that they've actually got sensible spawn points. So if you die, it doesn't put you in a position where you know someone's going to be behind you. Because that's a big gripe with Call of Duty recently, is that they seem to be putting these respawning you in hot zones so that you can get straight back into the action quick.
But you get put down quicker.
And you get put down quicker. So it's good because it gives you a chance to go, right, where am I? Where's the objective? The enemies are over the other side. I can get to them. It allows you to work out what you're going to do better. So you think, right, I'll go around and get them, or I'll meet them straight ahead. And you don't have to worry about someone spawning generally up your arse. But yeah,
time mode.
It's a good initial impression for me. My only concern is that a lot of it is based around the sounds.
No.
Yeah, well, it's all based around Star Wars, but it's all about replicating all the noises, and the atmosphere that's created in the game is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like I've noticed one of the things, if you look up in the air, there's a lot of other stuff going on around you. Yeah. So it's not just empty in the air.
No.
You're just down there, so you actually feel like you're in
part
a battle.
Of a big war, yeah.
Yeah, and it recreates that really well. But my concern is once I've sort of got accustomed to all these noises,
get sick of it.
Well, not get sick of it, but because it's not new, or that it's sort of like the initial wow, listen to it. Like, I love it feels like I'm in a film. I think once that wears off, I don't know whether it's sort of just going to be a bit sort of it's just another shooter.
Yeah, well,
so that's my only small concern, because at the moment I'm absolutely blown away by it. I haven't been able to sit here on my own as well, playing a first-person shooter online probably since Black Ops 2 was probably the last one, so that's years ago. So for me to be able to sit here and do that and really enjoy it, and I was up at 7:30 this morning and I was laying in bed going, right, should I just sit on the TV? But I was actually really eager to get on this game and play it, and I wasn't the same with Rainbow Six.
No.
So yeah, I'm really enjoying it. It's a great game.
Well, there you go. Star Wars Battlefront, overwhelmingly positive from you two pair of clowns. Now, both Rainbow Six and Star Wars Battlefront have no single-player campaigns. So this is something that I wanted to touch upon, because these two games are obviously coming out, in the next couple of months. We've had Evolve, which had standalone kind of single-player missions that you played with bots, but again, there's no campaign as such, no story, no narrative to sort of hook you into these worlds. And then the one that started it all off for me was Titanfall. So as much as I praise that game, it had no single player element apart from the tutorial which you do at the beginning, which was not really anything other than an introduction to the controls, because they were quite new, wall running and such. So these games have decided, look, we're not going to bother with making a single player campaign. So we're not going to invest in a voice actor to do a story. We're not going to invest in writers, that sort of thing. Should they be binning off these campaigns and focusing on their strengths, which clearly are the multiplayer games, or should they try and appeal to people that want to play offline and go through a narrative? What do you think of this, Piper? Because you're not a big multiplayer guy anyway.
I personally think they should just bin off the campaign mode. I know that's a bit weird, but I want games to do what games do best for their sort of genre. If I want a single player game or to be able to play on my own, I'll go out and I'll buy GTA 5 or something like that, and I'll just work through the story mode on that. There's ways for me to capture what I want in other games. I don't need every game to try and achieve everything. It's the old saying of jack of all trades, master of none. Well, I want games to be master of one, and I want them to be master of those shooter games, online multiplayer, mass skirmishes. And
so we've something like Battlefront. Would you have not enjoyed a Star Wars campaign to go through though? Because that would be amazing for like the time of the film and whatnot.
I personally think that would be in my head. That's a different game completely. Like it's a completely different type of game. It's like you're trying to stitch two games together. A single campaign. I just don't see how you could incorporate that in amongst these massive, wide range sort of multiplayer games, unless you then go and sort of double your budget. And
this is it,
and double, as you said, bring all the writers in, all the new animators, because you're going to have to then create parts of levels that are not even a part of any of this that we're seeing at the moment, and map it out and walkways and stuff like that. I think there is a space for a Star Wars game, and maybe it's Lego, Lego Star Wars. They do everything, but it's. For this, I just don't see the point.
So here's a question. So many years ago, you would pick up, let's say Rainbow Six, for example. You picked up Rainbow Six Vegas 1 and 2. You had the online multiplayer fleshed out. You had Terrorist Hunt. You had PvP. You had all that, and then you had a good sort of 10-hour, half decent campaign to go through, and that was £40 at release, whatever it was back in the day.
Yeah.
Now you get Rainbow Six Siege. It comes with your multiplayer elements. It comes with your terrorist hunt and whatnot. No single player narrative, so no sort of 10-hour campaign to work through for those that want to, and it's still £40. So question: I know we're changing, but is there an argument that multiplayer only games perhaps shouldn't be charging full price? Because things like Team Fortress doesn't have a narrative. That's a free to play game that's on Steam, and that's multiplayer only. 50 quid.
I personally don't think so, because as I was going to say,
spending half the budget on it.
The games, they're not, because the games are changing. The maps are getting bigger. Before, could you get that many people into one lobby? Get 40 people back in when you used to take it back and so forth. And
that was only because the machines at the time couldn't handle it.
Yeah,
PC players have had 64 player v64 on Battlefield for years now.
Yeah, but
so
I also think that was also maybe looking at historically, games were single player games and they were consistently changing, whereas now we have the mechanics to be able to do massive online stuff. Well, they're sort of taking advantage of that and thinking, well, people are going to get 200 hours worth of gameplay out of our game because they're playing the online multiplayer. What is it for them to have 210 hours just so they can do a campaign? In the grand scheme of things, it's not even 5% of the time a lot of people play their game.
No, I mean, if you look at Call of Duty, the way they do their campaigns, I'm pretty sure I read somewhere that at least 50% of their budget is spent on the single-player campaign, because they're spending money on getting fucking Kevin Spacey in to fucking voice act for them. Mr. Crow, you've been sitting there taking this all in, or probably doing something else, knowing you, pottering around, making a coffee. Are you ever interested in these single-player campaigns that come along with the multiplayer games?
Yeah, I am, I always make an effort to play the Call of Duty one, and I actually would say that Advanced Warfare was a very good single-player campaign. It was probably one of the better ones.
I'll be borrowing it and playing it.
Yeah, it is genuinely good, and it's got enough depth in it for it to be considered a good single campaign.
Yeah.
But I think the key thing is I think the landscape's changed. I mean, 15 years ago, people didn't have these. I mean, broadband wasn't there, and internet wasn't a readily available thing for everyone to use. And I think the niche people with PCs, etc., tended to have the better internet connections. I mean, I remember my dad had, it was like a 64k ISDN or something, and that was considered to be top of the range because it was one of the first ones not to be dial-up.
Yeah.
But I think now most people have got a reasonable broadband connection. It's sort of a standard. I think it's opened up the multiplayer world for console gamers. And I think
it was their last gen though. That's when it all kicked off.
Yeah, it was, yeah. And
they all had campaigns, and now they ain't.
I think that was sort of a transition. So,
wow.
By the looks of it, I personally think that Titanfall was released more as a this is what we can do, and we think this is a good concept, a good game. We'll chuck it out there. And sometimes I get the impression they've got an idea, but they haven't really got a story around it. But they know it'd be a good, fun game to play, and I think that's kind of what happened with Titanfall. But I think I think it was Call of Duty really that changed the scope of multiplayer gaming on consoles. I think that's the one that did it. Is that Call of Duty 4 specifically kicked off online to such a large extent.
Yeah.
And they must have looked at the hours that people are putting online and go, "Where's the money for us? Where's the benefit for us to be doing these in-depth campaigns?" People are no longer buying it to play the campaign. I mean, all these 16, 17-year-old kids that are on it, they just want it to play with their mates. They're not interested in playing the campaign with Kevin Spacey. They probably don't even know who he is. So well, they probably don't, do they? And they don't. It's just kids just want it because it's what their mates are doing, and they just want to play with their mates. So I suppose the way that they look at it is they go, right, what's the point in us investing all this money, for example, at Rainbow Six or Battlefront, whatever it is? What's the point in us doing that? People just want to play online anyway. We'll just give them what they want.
Wow, that sounds like laziness to me.
What they're doing, and I like playing through a single player campaign, but games like Call of Duty really and all these they're multiplayer functional games. They're designed to be played like that. So I'm quite happy for them to put all their time and effort into making that online game as good as it can be. And I think what they used to do as well with multiplayer stuff is they used to build their single player and then they'd just lift that up and make it multiplayer somehow. I think it was just sort of, they tend to recycle the maps that we used on the single.
Yeah, the locations are all pulled out of the campaign, weren't they?
I don't think they're really doing that now. They tend to be making specific multiplayer design maps to make it a good multiplayer game.
Yeah.
And I'm happy for them to do that. But as I say, I just think the landscape's changed a bit, and I'm happy for there to be multiplayer only games, and then just the single player games that are being released for people to play. I don't see the need for the single player ones to be adding multiplayer and vice versa. I think it's good diversity.
Wow. I don't feel, like I said, I can't understand why it was possible before. And now it's not possible, why people don't want to do it. And if they are going to, say it's 50% they're investing in a campaign mode, they're going to invest that 50% back into multiplayer. Is the multiplayer really going to be 50% better? Because I've not seen anything yet that warrants completely removing a single player campaign and investing. There's nothing that goes, you can see they've spent all the money on this. It feels like if Call of Duty removed their campaign, the multiplayer would feel the same as what it has done for the last 3 years. And you go, where's that money gone? It's not. It's just been cut out.
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't think they're going, right, we'll cut all that out and we'll use exactly the same amount of money. I think what they're doing
cutting
is
costs.
Well, I think they're saying, right,
it's not getting reinvested, is it?
I mean, for a big game, say they go, right, it's going to cost us a quarter of a billion or whatever to create that single campaign. Are people going to be paying that?
Well,
are people going to be playing that bit? Is there enough there for people to go, right, we're going to get that for that? And they've probably looked at it and they've gone, no, people aren't getting it to play that. They want the multiplayer. So we might as well cut that out, put an extra 50 million into our multiplayer and that extra resource in there and save ourselves.
Yeah, but you've also got to remember the amount of money that servers are going to cost as well.
They were always there, and I don't think
they're not always.
Mate, they're making me the fucking server.
wow.
And you've got to think about how much money is going to be spent into all this personalisation that he's talking about. You know, upgrading your guns and stuff like that, and having badges. I know it's not needed, but that's where a lot of money does.
That's where your 50 million's going.
That does take a lot of money. Think about the amount of.
I think the key point for me is I don't care how much they put into it. I don't care if I have to pay £40. but I want to feel like I've got my money worth out of that game. So I want to feel like they've put enough into it to be charging me £40 to buy it.
Yeah.
So if I can get that game, so for example, put them up, say, let's compare it with The Order. I know it's not a great one, and I know that I'm erring on the side of, I know what I'm doing here, put it that way, but say you get everything out of that, and it's 10 hours.
Yep.
If I play a game online for 20 hours, I've already got 50% more out of it.
No, this is what I'll say to that. This is not The Order, by the way, so don't take this as me saying The Order's good. It's not. If I played a 10-hour game that's single player and it was really I enjoyed it, like The Last of Us, I think that's 12, 14 hours, it's not very long. I've played Call of Duty for 7 days once. That was my longest. That doesn't mean Call of Duty was better value for money, because I never had that gameplay experience that I had with The Last of Us. That 14 hours was rock solid, beautiful gameplay, and I loved every second of it. I can't say that about the 7 days I spent on Call of Duty. That was just mindless violence. I don't think you can value it that way, because it's all about your enjoyment of getting out of it. Like,
maybe you're right. I think, maybe it's a bit unfair.
I played games that are an hour and a half long and they're brilliant. I thought that was fucking fantastic. That's one of the Journey. It's one of the most memorable things I've played. Fine, it was £12. It wasn't a full game, but I think trying to put a value on how much time you spend on things is not the way to do it.
I think
70 hours in the Phantom Pain, brilliant. Did I enjoy every second of it? Couldn't say I did.
Right.
That's the end of that. It is an evolution. It's a natural evolution. I can see this happening more and more often. Call of Duty have removed their campaign from Black Ops 3 on Xbox 360 and PS3. They're saying it's to do with the tech. They can't put it in there, blah, blah, blah. But, is that a sign that they're going to start doing that? And let's be honest, whatever happens, even if the campaign is good, everyone kicks the shit out of it. So you kind of think, why would they bother? In some ways, they get the absolute snot kicked out of them. They go, we just spent 50 million on that, you bastards. It's got Kevin Spacey and you've crapped on it. Let's kick the shit out of something else. PlayStation Now, £12.99 per month in the UK for your subscription. That gives you unlimited access to the catalogue in PlayStation Now. All I've got to say about that is £13 for backwards compatibility per month. That is Microsoft One, Sony nil. You're a Sony boy at the moment, Piper. That's not going to interest you, is it, for that sort of price?
No, so what I'm confused with, does that allow you to then stream the games? Or do you have to then pay to stream on top of that? No.
So you stream the game. Basically, that opens up the catalogue. From there, you can choose any game you want and stream it.
So I get why they're doing it. It is like now the Netflix for gaming, but it's a bit too much. Not when you're paying £40 a year to have
for PlayStation Plus,
and so forth. You would think bundle it in. Maybe you have £40 a year for PlayStation Plus, or maybe you pay, I don't know, £80 a year for with backwards. Well, an extra £40. That's what, a month. That's £4 a month, something like that. So it's not that bad when you think about if you're really good, want to go back and play all those old games. But £13 a month to play games that I can't play anymore and that are not as good as games that are out now. No, thank you.
Not interested, especially when obviously the Xbox One is introducing backwards compatibility on quite a number of catalogues, so you can actually just put the disc in and it will load it in, and then it will load it on your hard drive and you can play it without having to go through the fuss of streaming or paying £12.99 per month for that. It used to be £4.99 for 2 days and £9.99 for 30 days. If it was a PSN game, like an old indie game or an arcade game as they were called on Xbox, it was £2.99 per 2 days and £7.99 for 30 days. So, unless you're going to do multiple games, the £12.99 is not going to be a factor really. It's just going to be a waste of money. Like £7.99 is not too bad. I wouldn't mind paying £7.99 to play Shadow of the Colossus because I've not played it. Something like that. That's kind of like I'd expect to pick that up in a bargain bin somewhere for the PS3, but I wouldn't want to pay a subscription of £13 for that, if I'm being honest. Logan, you got any thoughts? Unless you're thinking of getting a PlayStation 4 in the near future, I assume this is going to be utterly not of any interest to yourself.
Not really, no. I don't. It just annoys me because the one thing that
Xbox has stitched them up here by doing backwards compatibility. They've really gone right. So you're going to charge people to play old games. They can have it for free.
Well, there is that, but I just wish that, and I wish the Xbox One would do this as well, just open up the arcade or open up the catalogue so that if I want to play an old game, put it on there for a price and I can download it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to go, right, I'll pay a tenner or something, say, and for a period of time you can go in and play what you like. Well, no, just let me buy it and I'll have it and I'll play it when I want it. Yeah. I don't understand the need.
Yeah, don't pay £8 for 30 days and go, right, you've lost that now. Do you want to pay another £8?
Yeah, because I want to buy things at my leisure to play it. And the one thing that I would quite like is to go, right, backwards compatibility, put your disc in, and I can go into game, CEX or whatever, and if there's a game I want, I can buy it from there, recycle it and use it.
Bang.
I'd much rather do that.
Yeah.
And I don't it's just a money making technique, isn't it, at the end of the day for people, and that's a lot of money, $12.99 I think, for what they're offering anyway. You've got to do a lot to get your money's worth out of that.
Exactly.
Anyway.
When you've got all the other games come up your arse, have you got time to play the old ones? Probably not. According to a recent survey, Call of Duty is the most anticipated game this year. So I'll read you off the list. I think this is like the top 6 or 7 in there. You got Call of Duty Black Ops 3. Fallout 4 is second. Assassin's Creed Syndicate is third. That is unbelievable, but they always sell for some reason. Need for Speed 4th. Star Wars Battlefront 5th. Tomb Raider 6th. And can anyone guess what 7th is? You won't get it.
Uncharted?
No, that's the PlayStation 4's most look forward to title, and that's poor in itself. That's no real exclusive.
Oh, sorry, are we doing Xbox here?
No, this is multi-platform.
Oh, sorry, okay.
That's fine. But that's fine. You've had your guess. You've blown it.
Bloody
Piper?
hell.
I can't think of anything that would
Halo? No.
Rainbow
I'm
Six.
blind this.
No, not Rainbow Six. Rock Band. Huh?
What?
Yeah,
Oh my god. Have they interviewed 12-year-olds for this? It's incredible.
That's crazy, isn't it? Rock Band. But yeah, so what I was more interested in is that Call of Duty, that doesn't surprise me, being top of the block there. I'm just, how low Battlefront is. We spoke about it earlier, it's a great game, but they were targeting, what did we say, 9 to 10 million a couple of weeks ago, didn't we, Logan?
Yeah.
Being that low down on a fan survey, I know it's like 5,000 people in the US, it's not reflecting the whole industry, but it's a decent kind of marker for what kind of is going on. I'm surprised to see Fallout 4 so high. I didn't think that would resonate with many people apart from the likes of myself and some more kind of hardcore people. It seems like it's got quite a big following, but Battlefront, that's got to be a bit worrying for them, even if it is just 5,000 people.
I think it's
I ain't getting 9 to 10 million off that if that's real.
You wait until people have watched the film.
That is a good point.
I think there'll be a lot of hype around the film, and I think the game will tie into that as well. So I think it's a Call of Duty is always going to be up there anyway for some reason. I don't know who they're interviewing here, because surely people of my sort of age and ilk could go, well, I ain't really interested in that anymore. So it must be sort of 18 to 21, I think.
I think it went up to like 30 odd, I think. So, but obviously what segment you get,
I'm
isn't it?
so unfussed by Black Ops 3. So I literally couldn't care less. Like a couple of years ago, when we went to EGX, I'd be like, right, get me on that, get me playing it. I couldn't even care less.
No.
I played one game of the beta when it came out. I went, don't care. It's just not enjoyable. I am surprised Battlefront is that low down, but I think...
How can it be below Need for Speed?
I was surprised that people are really eager to play that. I mean...
Yeah. It's one of those franchises that people remember. And
it's sounding like the franchise is a king, to be honest. So it's like, you look at it, and every year, one of the most anticipated game, and it's not on this list because it's already out, it's FIFA. And it's the franchises that are king of anticipation, because people know that it's coming. People are eager for it. I personally would have thought Fallout would have probably been number one. Or Star Wars, them two, between those two is 1 and 2. But yeah, that's crazy. That survey, and I'm actually thinking about Rock Band. I do think that's got a lot of hype around it about coming back. You know, is that
fucking bin it? They had their time and now it's gone.
It was it's within that mix of, like Tony Hawk's is coming back.
Look at Tony Hawk's.
Yeah, I know that was poor, the poor comparison, but they were both coming back, and everyone was quite hyped about them both coming back.
Little fact about Tony Hawk's. Activision's contract with Tony Hawk, they tied him down, I think, back in 2002, and the last year of their contract to do a Tony Hawk's game was this year. So that kind of says to me is that they thought, right, we've got this license lying around, let's scramble something together, get like one game out before the end of the year, get some money out of it, and then it's gone next year.
How many people actually would know Tony Hawk's now? Do you know what I mean?
That's a good question.
As a skating, I mean, this may be a rash, unsurprisingly, opinion from me, but I don't think skating is as popular as it was 15 years ago. And
not.
I think a lot of people are into that. They're into Tony Hawk's, and
I'd still play Skate though if that come out again, a video game.
Yeah, and I just think it might have had its time in the sort of 2000s, and I don't know if people are that interested in skating
disagree
anymore.
with that. There are a lot of people.
Look, just because you've taken it up recently, it doesn't mean that you're representative of the whole fucking world, right?
No, but there is a lot to do out there with skating. Maybe you just you lock yourself in your house and you don't come out, only to go to work. But people are out there skateboarding a lot, and it's one of those things that you do. People do a lot when they're in their like teens and so forth, and then they sort of tend to grow out of it, and then you got like a community that don't, and then they carry it on and
or people that when they're 27 just start it because they're having an early midlife crisis.
Well, I just thought it'd be fun. It'd be easy to get round. I don't drive, so
Fucking
anywho, but I think there is a big enough skating community, and everyone remembers skating from the Tony Hawk's games as well, from our generation. So they probably thought it'd tie in quite nicely.
Well, they made a good game. It would have been alright, but it's shit.
Yeah.
So that's the end of that. Xbox One's most anticipated is Halo 5, no surprise there. And as I said, PlayStation 4 is the Uncharted collection, and that is a damning indictment, but they're still pissing the sales, so they won't care about that. Running out of time here. BBC to air upcoming League of Legends tournament. So we've got 4 days of coverage that will start across BBC Three and BBC Sports, starting on October the 15th. Sounds like it's going to be an online stream, and I know BBC Three is still active. I think they're transitioning to being online only in the near future. That's quite a big thing, isn't it, Logan, to have eSports on a BBC channel, albeit not one of the big hitters. There's still progress.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm going to watch it.
It's seeping into mainstream communities now, I think, and into mainstream sort of opinions. I think more people now, sort of generic people, are playing games and into it. I mean, look at Biff playing Hearthstone. I wouldn't have had him down to play games like that a few years ago. So I think it's becoming more acceptable to do it, and I think more people are interested in it. So I think it's a step. I'd like to see where it is in sort of a couple of years' time. I think you might see more. I mean, there used to be gaming shows and stuff quite regularly. I can't remember what it's called. I mean, going back to
Games Master, you had, didn't you?
Yeah, and
that little ball black going.
Channel 4.
Yeah, it was good. That was only on really early, and I was was it go to school, miss it, but.
So yeah, maybe we'll see something quite regularly come through of gaming shows. I'd like to see sort of a regular slot for a sort of gaming show where you get sort of head to head and gaming competitions and stuff.
Yeah,
I think that'd be good, and I think there's a market there for it.
Yeah, I agree. Piper, are you going to tune into any of this if you get a chance to?
I'll tune in to see how the BBC have done it, because I'm interested.
That's what I'm more interested in, how they present it.
How they represent it.
Yeah.
League of Legends is one of the biggest sort of online streaming games going. But it does also sort of feel, maybe rightly so, a bit of a knee-jerk reaction, because gaming on the internet is so popular now. They're thinking, right, people are watching people playing games, we're going to get on it. Yeah. However, where they might come up against something is they've just said we're doing League of Legends, whereas when I want to watch different types of games streaming, I will go on to something like Twitch, and I will be like, I want to watch a bit of DayZ, and I'll find someone there playing DayZ, and I'll watch that, or I will go on and watch someone playing Guild Wars, and I'll watch them for a little bit. Or
you specifically look for a game.
They're just giving me
something.
One game at the moment, and fair enough, it's a big tournament, but it'd be interesting to see where they go with it afterwards. Are they going to start covering big esports tournaments and on a regular basis and different genres, because that'd be really interesting, or are they just sort of throwing out there that League of Legends is a really popular game at the moment with the online community, we'll throw that onto the BBC.
See what happens. I think it'll be good. I'll tune in and see how they're presenting it, how it's represented, and hopefully they do a good job of it. Right, Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain introduced a new set of microtransactions. I'm going to be quick about this, but essentially the way it works is, in the Phantom Pain you've got something called Mother Base, which you build up. That's your own Mother Base within the single player campaign. At a certain point in the game, it will offer you the chance to build an online base called a forward operating base, and you set this up and you can put your staff that you've acquired in the single player and your resources onto this base, and it helps speed up your processing for resources and weapon development, that sort of thing. So you can do that. The risk of putting people on these forward operating bases is that someone else, this is part of the game, this is what the game mode is, can come along, invade that base, and if they're successful they can steal resource, they can steal staff, and they can steal other bits and bobs from you and basically put you in a bit of a shit position. What Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain is now introducing is this new microtransaction. It's not a microtransaction, you buy it with in-game coins, but it's called an insurance policy, which means if I come along and invade your base, Piper, steal all your staff and your resources, if you've bought this insurance policy, that means you get all that back. So the whole point of having the risk and reward sort of is eliminated from the game, because you could just buy this insurance policy and they'll give it back to you. It's now, the way you buy this is through coins. Now these coins are called mother base coins. You use real world money to buy them, so you get these coins like a currency in game, but you are dish them out randomly, a very small amount randomly when you play online. This to me just is terrible in my opinion. I mean, I know it's there if people want it, but go on.
Do they give you enough coins in game to be able to cover this insurance throughout the time you want to play?
I wouldn't have thought so, no.
See, that's where the issue sort of comes in, is that they don't allow you to cover it in game. If you're like, I want to be able to play it in game, I don't want to spend any more money on it. I can do that. I want to, but however, some people fair enough, just want to be able to pay a bit of extra money and speed things up because they don't have the time to do all of that, and then you accept, right, maybe that sort of microtransaction works for them, but not being able to give people in game the ability to do that without having to pay for the microtransaction is pretty disgusting. You get
them dished out, like I said, and they are random, it seems, like random awards. If there was a mode where I could go in and earn these coins through grinding or whatever, something like that, I probably wouldn't have too much of a problem with it, because it gives you a specific way to earn the coins. But because it's so random in the way it gives out the coins, you kind of like, you don't know whether you're going to get coins today or tomorrow or the next day. I can see why. I just don't like the whole idea of this particular microtransaction, because it defeats the whole mode that is this PvP element. Like, you put these people on that base as a risk, but it helps you in your game.
Yeah.
And to eliminate that from the game itself, just destroys the whole idea behind it, and B, it's just a clear money grabbing scheme, in my opinion. Logan, very quickly, 1-2 words.
Yes, money grabbing.
Yeah, done. We've got Destiny adding microtransactions for emotes. Again, there's a new currency coming in called Silver, I believe it's called. And they'll give you enough silver to start with to buy 1 or 2 emotes, they've quoted, to give you a little taste of what they've got to offer, and then after that you can have to buy them yourself. Tomb Raider is adding burn cards, similar to what Titanfall's got for time attack mode, so it's like a different separate mode, not related to the single player campaign, so not as bad, it's a separate mode, and that'll give you boosts and perks and whatnot, and you can buy those. Basically, that's free in 1 week that's happened. We've got to just deal with the fact that microtransactions are here to stay, aren't they? They're not going to go away. They are genuinely used for another revenue stream, and people are using them, or they wouldn't bother spending the time to develop them. So there's nothing really we can do about them, apart from not buy them. I'm just more interested in... I don't mind a microtransaction for an emote, or for something that's separate to the campaign. I'm going to have to come down the side of the fence that if the microtransaction's not affecting the main story or affecting your progress in some way, then I can't really have a problem with them, because it's not going to... I'll be moaning every week otherwise.
Yeah, they've got to do it like GTA's done it with their shark cards. You can play in game, you can earn the money, do the missions, you don't ever have to buy a shark card. However, I might be working 15-hour days, 7 days a week, and I don't get a chance.
Or you might just want a new house.
Yeah,
you can't be bothered to.
Yeah, or you might just want a new house, and you don't have the time to do all of that, and you just think, right, I'm happy to dish out £5, and I can get that house, and I can do all this bits and bobs that I want to do. So you need to give people the option to be able to do it either in game, realistically, or out of game, and then I don't have a problem with the microtransactions. That's fine, but it gives people more choice, if anything. So I just don't like it when they don't give people the chance to do it in game.
No, that's the key, isn't it? If it's cosmetic stuff, I'm not too fussed about. If it's gameplay altering stuff, say if Call of Duty, you could buy a new gun that was like overly powerful, that would be awful, but thankfully most of the stuff's all cosmetic, and there's a few lines that will be drawn. The fact of the matter is they're not going to go away, and we're going to be stuck with these, and as long as they don't take it too far, I guess if you're giving people options that don't have the time to do it, like I know someone at work, for example, that uses them because he hasn't got time to level up and stuff, so it'd be a bit cruel to take that option away from him if he wants to spend the money on it. Can't really fault him for that. Steam's retail presence is going to be arriving in game and GameStop. So they're going to that's going to be exclusive to games, so you'll only be able to buy Steam products in there. Don't know what they are. I assume it's Steam boxes and the Steam controllers. Logan, you were pretty much writing off Steam as a dead horse. They're not going to get a challenge. This surely will help them get a foothold in the market. In the mum and dad shops where parents go in, they'll see Steam in there.
Maybe. They still need to get some kind of
They'll have the staff behind them going, "Oh, buy this."
I mean, I haven't seen any Steam advertising still in the mainstream, which I think is a bit of a problem for them.
It's not out yet, though, is it? It's difficult.
Well, my concern with Steam is that part of the appeal for it was that...
Your concern is that you might be wrong.
No. So Steam is entirely, or has up until now, been entirely online offering. They haven't had these sort of costs to go through, so they have been transferring that saving, I think, to the end-line customer, which is us. So you can tend to get games cheaper on there, and I think that's been a good thing. And it's been
that's slowly changing, though. I've noticed of new releases, they're not as cheap as they used to be. And I was talking to Dave Salmon about this, who buys a lot of games of Steam, and he said slowly over this last sort of six months or so, games are not as cheap as they used to be on Steam, like new releases, and even like a few months down the line, you do get obviously the autumn and the Christmas sales and whatnot. But outside of that, it's not as cheap as it used to be. And there's other outlets he's been using to get them.
And this is what I'm trying to say is, I think as their costs go up, they then transfer these costs to the end-line customer. So if they start getting this retail presence and being less online, their costs are going to go up, and obviously they're going to need to recoup that. So my concern is that they'll lose what they had, they lose what was their appeal originally, which is that you can get cheaper games, online only, download, done. And I think they're going to start losing. I mean, I've already noticed it with Football Manager. That's not as cheap now as it is to buy on a copy. So I can hear Piper already going, "Oh, Steam indie," but
you're looking at this from completely the wrong perspective. You're looking at it at money. I want cheap. I want cheerful.
Yeah, why are you entitled to a cheap game?
Why you're looking at it? If there is other outlets, go and use those other outlets. And a lot of people that use Steam look at it because you can play games that you could never get on a PlayStation, you could never get on an Xbox, and these games are proving popular, and then they're transferring over to PlayStation. And to Xbox. You got Goat Simulator, you got the Escapist, you got all these, and there's 100 other that have done well on Steam, and then got that money behind them to be able to then go on to, for people like you who don't leave the house, to be able to play.
Pause yourself, think about it, because if those games start going up in price...
But those games haven't started going up in price. Right, that's the thing. It's the big AAA games.
Interrupting every time. Calm yourself. You'll get your opinion in.
You interrupted him.
What I'm saying is that if they start increasing the price gradually, so these new games originally were £4, say, for example.
They were never £4.
That's an example.
Wow.
They go up to a tenner. Are more people going to buy that?
Yeah, but you're looking at this in a way that you think they might be doing that. They haven't done that. So why are you quoting that, this is awful because they might do that? And there's been no press releases to say that they might do that. AAA games have started putting up their prices, but that's nothing to do with Steam. These Football Managers, which has a lot of money behind it already, can go in and say, well, we know people are going to pay that more money now. However, the indie games are still staying around that $6.99 tag when they first come out.
You got to remember that the publisher of the game has a lot to say in the price. Like, as far as I know, Steam can't just go, it's 50% off day one. Like, they have to have it agreed. So the publisher will have to give the go-ahead for that. So it's not completely in Steam's hand as to whether they do that. Completely gone off the point. This is talking about Steam retail presence. Piper,
I think
Steam machines are coming.
I think it's a good thing. Because we haven't had a mix-up of sort of top-line competitors in the console region for a good 10, 15 years. Not since Xbox and PlayStation sort of came out and started trying to clash heads. You had all like the Ataris and all that before. Now and you look at it back in the gaming sort of generation where you had like Ataris and so forth, and then you had the PlayStation, Nintendos and Xbox. Is this now a new definitive line within the console timeline to say, and the gaming timeline to say, this is now going to be another game changer, big hitter to the world of consoles and gaming?
Yeah, more competitors, more better for the consumer. The worst phrase sentence ever.
Yeah.
Let's quickly brush on game chat. So we had 3 games and I'm going to bin 2 of them immediately. And because it's The Walking Dead season 6, is it, starting tonight? So tonight in the US you'll be watching that, and obviously tomorrow it'll come to the UK. The Walking Dead season 1, we've all played it. Logan, you most recently played this, having played, we've nearly done the Game of Thrones. We're just waiting for the last episode to come out from Telltale. What did you think of this? I bloody loved it. It's one of my favourite games from that era. What did you make of this? An improvement on Game of Thrones, at least.
Yeah, it's much better than Game of Thrones. It's made me realise it's really brought Game of Thrones down for me, I think. That's the trouble. Yeah, it was good. I liked the impact of the decisions. I don't want to spoil it for people because it's just coming out, so I won't go into...
It's a free, isn't it? It'll be free on Xbox One, so as well, another little tie-in.
It's great. Everyone should get it and play it through. My concern with it was Scrabblers. There was a little bit of Scrabbling, but it wasn't enough to really bother me.
No.
Yeah, it's great. The storyline in it is good. I mean, I don't think I get into a good storyline as much as you do. I sort of always find them a bit superficial, but it was good enough. The one thing that I want to feel like when I'm playing games like that is that my decisions that I make may affect me further down the line. I didn't get that feeling at all in Game of Thrones. It feels like everything's inconsequential.
So roiling.
Yeah, it feels like it's just going down the same route regardless. So, and that's definitely not the case in Game of Thrones, in Walking Dead. It's very good, and it's just annoying that I paid a tenner for it when a month later now. It's free.
You've helped the developers out. Give it that. Piper, you played it quite a while ago. I think I badgered you to pick it up and play it.
Yeah.
For all accounts, I think you enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, it's really good, and I never got round to playing season 2, which sort of annoys me. But
not as good, still good, but not as good.
But it's Logan's right in terms of it's nice to have a game where you have to make snap decisions within a quick space of time, and it does affect the story further down. And we always used to do was when I completed an episode, I'd take a screenshot of how or the decisions I made, and I'd send it over to you, and you go, "Whoa, why did you make that decision?" Or "Oh yes," and stuff like that. And that's
a great part of the game. That's so genius, that end screen, just so you can talk about it with your mates afterwards and chat about why you did certain things and what motivates people. Because I find that's almost a quarter of the experience is being able to share that with someone and talk about why you did this and why you did that, and digging into other people's brains and see what a sick bastard they are.
Lenny was always a key.
Lenny, it's a controversial
point, Lenny. What you do with him? But yeah, it's a cracking game, and it's free on Xbox, which is 2-0 Xbox stock, 2-0 Microsoft today.
Yeah, they're laughing at that. I think it's a great series. We'll round off of this new. Well, it's not a new one. I don't think this is going to happen again. But I've got a bunch of headlines here. I'm going to read out. Logan, you go first. Piper, you go second. Just your gut reaction to what I read out, and maybe afterwards. I won't provide any context for it. You just got to react to how it is. So let's start with this. The developer kit version of HoloLens is expected to be available in Q1 2016 and will sell for $3,000.
What?
Right, that's it. You're done, Pipes.
Great, something new.
$3,000.
Completely glosses over the cost.
Yeah,
just context for that.
It's a developer kit.
Just context for that. Oculus was $900.
Yeah, but it's developer kit. It's not.
Yeah, no. The Oculus developer kit was $900.
Yeah, but it's completely different.
Move on. Not getting it.
Video game voice actors strike authorised. Not going ahead. Authorised.
Fucking hell. What is that?
Pepper?
Oh, I don't know what it's going to affect, so yeah.
Well, it's authorised. I think it's good they've got a union at least, because sick of these companies running riot. Nintendo off the top 100 brands. First time since its inception.
Good. Gives them a kick up the arse.
Yeah, fair enough.
Shame.
Minecraft streamer buys $4.5 million mansion.
Fucking moron.
Moron?
Get me Minecraft streaming.
Yeah, we need to stream Minecraft is basically the answer to that one. Pool Nation FX launches on Steam.
Who's buying that?
I've never played it, never will.
I wish Hall was on this one. He would have gone mental here, and that's been given the green light. Final one. This is from Phil Spence. This is a quote. Xbox One team focus on regain fan trust, not beating PlayStation 4.
Well, they're not going the right way about it
Because I bet they're winning 2-0 today.
Overall, mate, they're fucking still down.
I need to get that Windows 10 update into that fucking dashboard pronto. Pepper?
Glad I picked PlayStation 4, to be honest.
Fine, fair enough. Let's wrap it up there. If you guys want to get in contact with us, you can do. Obviously, tweet us at Dimp Digital. The Facebook page is facebook.com/Dimp Digital, so give that a like. Email address dimpdigitalmedia@gmail.com. And the Dimp Digital YouTube channel is always running with video content going up every week. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out. That's it for now, though. Game over. It's goodbye from Logan.
See ya.
Goodbye from Piper.
Toodaloo.
That's goodbye from me, Apps. Thanks for your time, and ta-da.
Unless addressed.
You interrupted me first. So
what do you mean? I go first. It was
I never went first.
That never works.
I never went first at any point. I was always addressed whenever I spoke to first. I never went before you.
Absolutely did.
When?
Well, we can listen back to it
When
later.
no. Let's get Loading to quote it first before we listen it back, because he's obviously got something in his head that he's obviously wrong about. So come on, Logan.
I go first. Is the rules solely because it's stopped?
Which point? No. Name the point. I went first.
We'll have to listen.
Can't do it. So maybe up in his head. Maybe it's up in his head again.
I thought right.
Living in his deluded little world.
I thought, right, here we go. And then even when I did go first, you don't wait for your turn to be addressed. You go...
No, I know. I'm waiting for my turn to be addressed, and then we started having a discussion about... So if you're referring to the Steam discussion, we had already gone on to me, and then you interrupted me and to say something else, and then I interrupted you back to say, well, no, wait a minute here. So if you listen to it back, I did wait all my goes, and I just kept quiet. So... You've got a little... I think you fancy me, Loading. You keep having like these little pops recently, and it's your classic case. You know, poke someone you
Hell, the tatty, innit?
I think just after all these years.
Hey, Arnold.
Do you need to come out? Do you need help?